Okay, so we need to talk about this. Right now we're in the middle of an election season with political parties gearing up for another round of campaigns in Johor. Thing is, there's been one party in particular putting up some pretty problematic faces front and center, including this guy, our former Prime Minister Najib Razak, and this gentleman, Zahid Hamidi, who some dude on Twitter keeps saying I look a lot like. Recently, a number of videos have gone viral showing these two men being surrounded by crowds and fans, despite the fact that both of them have been charged or found guilty in corruption cases involving millions of ringgit in stolen funds. Now, it's been reported that this election in Johor, which is costing taxpayers 150 million ringgit, is actually a battleground between two factions in UMNO, one aligned to Prime Minister Ismail Sabri, and the other court cluster faction aligned to Najib and Zahid. Although UMNO leaders like Zahid and Tok Mat have brushed aside this court cluster label as a propaganda term by the opposition to scare voters away, a number of analysts have predicted that the Johor election is simply UMNO's first step towards taking power back in the next general election in order to save Najib and Zahid from prison. Najib himself has come out saying that BN's victory in Johor will be a sign of its future chances in GE15, and last year, a group of his own supporters had petitioned the Agong requesting that he be issued a royal pardon for all his crimes. Now, even though Najib has denied seeking a royal pardon for himself, he recently lost a bid in the High Court to dismiss charges of stealing over 6 billion ringgit from 1MDB, and even lied in Parliament saying public funds had not been used to repay the company's debts, despite the fact that the government has spent over 6 billion ringgit repaying 1MDB's interest payments, and despite the remaining 39 billion ringgit in debts being guaranteed by the Malaysian government until the year 2039. Again, this is the same billions of ringgit stolen by Jolo to fund his parties in Hollywood, and to bribe Najib while he was still Prime Minister, as well as the same billions that was allegedly used by former Goldman Sachs banker Tim Leisner to buy a 40 million ringgit house in London for his lover, former Astro CEO Rohana Rozhan, just so she wouldn't rat him out to authorities. Now, if the past few state elections are any indicator, BN looks pretty set to win big in the coming Johor polls, going up against an opposition that barely has their shit together. Still, with over 700,000 new voters taking part and multi-cornered fights expected in every seat, it's really anyone's guess how things will turn out. Which is why all I can really do right now is remind you, remember who's behind one of the largest financial scandals in recent human history, and remember that they'd still be doing it if we had just allowed them to.